Hello, brothers and sisters, and welcome back to another episode of Ups and Downs, a show where we go through an album track by track, and we give the good songs an up, and those bad songs a down. Today we're going to be looking at the new YBN Cordae record titled The Lost Boy. YBN Cordae was on the most recent XXL Freshmen list. He's a member of the YBN Collective. YBN stands for something that I can't really say on YouTube. He showed up on the collaborative mixtape that he did with the YBN crew, which also featured Almighty J, and last year's XXL Freshman YBN Namir. And while those two are more standard by-the-numbers gangster rappers, YBN Cordae really sets himself apart by rapping over much more jazzy and boom-bap flavored beats, as well as infusing a bit of a conscious edge into his lyrics. He generated most of his buzz, I believe, with a few early mixtapes, as well as a response track to J. Cole, on which he took him to task for some of his, what I believe to be, are misguided and a bit outdated views that rap music is going kinda in a downward trajectory. YBN Cordae took exception to this viewpoint, and he made the song Old... You know what I mean. And that song generated him a lot of buzz, which led to him being on the XXL Freshman cover, and it led to him getting a big record contract, and has now led to him releasing his debut studio album. So how did he fare on his first commercial outing? Well, we're about to find out. We're looking for the Lost Boy here on Ups and Downs. So to get things started, we have the track Wintertime, and this is a pretty good opening track. I'm gonna give it an up. Now generally, if this isn't your first time watching one of these videos, then you know that I don't ask that much from an opening track of an album, just that it manages to hook me and grab my interest to listen to the rest of the album. And this song does its job, so I'm gonna give it an up. The first line of this song is, "We all have skeletons in our closet from a shady past," which indicates to me that YBN Cordae is probably going to get a little personal and reflective on his past, and we're going to kind of get a glimpse of how he was brought up and the experiences he's had that has informed his worldviews and his music, which is fine by me. Color me intrigued. The next song is Have Mercy, and while I can see what he was going for on this track, I don't think he quite stuck the landing here. I gotta give this a down. It starts off fine with the chorus, where he kind of talks about how it's basically him praying to the Lord for forgiveness. He's sinned, he's made mistakes, he's used up his 3 favors, which play into, I think, what the general conception of God is you gotta earn his forgiveness. And I can even appreciate the dichotomy between the verses, which feels like he's going through all the bad stuff and the sins that he had to commit in his past to get out of the bad situation that he was in, whereas in the second verse he's talking about the sins that he's committing now, and that he's still not an innocent man despite having overcome the demons of his past. All this could have worked except for one crucial detail, and that is, he doesn't really sound that sorry about all of it. And to that point, the second verse, which I praised for its contrast to the first verse, for talking about the sins that he commits now with his greed of money and his lust for women and all that good stuff. But if you take the fact that he doesn't really show that much remorse on this song, it really only turns this song into a standard brag song. That does bring us to the third track on this album, though, just called Sweet Lord, which is basically just a continuation of the last song, and I think actually greatly improves upon it. So I'm gonna give this an up. It's only like a 30-second clip of some woman, I'm assuming this is a grandmother or family member of some kind, singing the hook to Have Mercy, but much more soulfully and bringing out much more emotion into it. Basically fixing all the problems that plagued the song Have Mercy. And that brings us to the Chance the Rapper song featuring YBN Cordae, Bad Idea, and I'm sure people are gonna disagree with me for this one, but I couldn't really get into this song. I gotta give it a down. Mostly because, like I said, this feels like a Chance the Rapper song featuring YBN Cordae. Couple that with the fact that it was extremely difficult to discern when Chance the Rapper's verse ended and when YBN Cordae's verse began. It's not a bad song. YBN Cordae's verse is actually pretty great, and the chorus was just I don't know, this whole song, I don't know, this song didn't really take me in, it didn't really grab me, and I gotta give it a down for that reason. The next song on here is called Thanksgiving, and this is actually probably one of my favorite songs on the whole album. It's getting a big old up. At its surface, it's a pretty nice song about Thanksgiving and spending family time, but when you get more into the narrative of this track though, YBN Cordae is bringing a lady friend over for Thanksgiving to meet his family for the first time. Big step. And this track takes a good opportunity to give us more of a glimpse of who YBN Cordae is as a person. He's over-analytical, he's anxious, he's a little bit neurotic, and he's not really sure where this relationship is going to go. He's hoping that it's going to turn into something, but he's not really getting his hopes up. And he's got the line in the chorus of this song that they might not make to Christmas, but he's hoping for better days. Overall, this is a really great, deep, complex song, and I think it all comes together to create one of the stronger songs on the album. That brings us to RNP featuring Anderson .Paak, and RNP stands for something that can't say on YouTube, but the song's still pretty great. I'm gonna give it an up. Now lyrically, this song is nothing special, and it features a lot of old tired rap tropes like bragging about money and objectifying women. So if that kind of stuff turns you off to songs like this, then you're probably not gonna enjoy this one. But for me, this song makes up for it by having a great groove, by having a great beat, and also having some great chemistry between Cordae and Anderson .Paak. So even though this song isn't in reinventing the wheel lyrically and it contains some, what some may find to be some pretty objectionable material, I can still vibe with this song. I could still really get into it, so it's getting an up. That brings us to the song Broke as Fuck, which is a pretty nice change of pace from the rest of the album. This is also getting an up. He raps about how he used to be broke. Now he's not broke anymore. So the bragging and the flexing that does take place on this song actually feels earned and paid off. Whereas the rest of the album up to this point was just, was more boom bap, jazz flavored beats. This song is a straight up banger, it's straight up trap, and it's straight up fire. We get right back to the jazz flavored boom bap beats though with the song 1,000 Words, and this is another really good song. It's getting an up. This song is about social media culture and kinda YBN Cordae's whole opinion on that whole thing. He talks about how people are spending too much time on their phones and basically becoming addicted to social media, but also not really exempting himself from that claim either. He flat out admits on this song that he does struggle with social media numbers and views and streams and all that stuff. And he even goes so far to admit that he himself has benefited from that social media culture. Which is great because it makes this song sound a lot less preachy than I think it could have been if he didn't come from it from that angle. This is a really poignant and a very smart song, I think, and I gotta give him credit for that. The next song is Way Back Home featuring Ty Dolla $ign, and I'm gonna give this one an up as well. It's a really good song. I'm not sure what kind of meaning I can glean from it on its surface, but I really love the vibe it has. This is another song that kind of like Bad Idea kind of has a bit of a Chance the Rapper-ish vibe to it. This song also had a pretty Chance the Rapper-ish vibe in sound and also in YBN's delivery. But the hook to this song is great. It's one of the catchier hooks on this album, which isn't sung by Ty Dolla $ign, which I was a little bit surprised by. But YBN Cordae actually shows that not only can he rap, but he can also sing. He puts together some really great hooks on this album, and he sounds good singing them. I also like Ty Dolla $ign's verse on this one too. Ty Dolla $ign also on his verse actually kind of injects a bit of a theme of self-love and self-positivity, which I think works for this stage of the album. And that brings us to the skit Grandma's House, which is basically just Grandma doing her soulful singing. I'm pretty sure this is the same voice that sung the Have Mercy chorus on Sweet Lord. I mean, this is grandma singing with her babies. This is grandma just chilling, having a good time. How can you hate on this? It's getting an up. The next song on this album is called Been Around, and this is another up. This song just has a general vibe of positivity with the theme that even though things seem bad and not everything is going your way right now, it's still gonna get better. And YBN Cordae uses himself as an example here. He was down, he had money problems, he had family issues, and he's where he is now. So, like, that's great. Things do get better, guys. Things do get better. That brings us to Nightmares Are Real featuring Pusha T, and this song is also an up because it's got Pusha T on it. This is actually a really interesting song about how YBN Cordae kind of tells the story of how he first became a rapper, and Pusha T in his verse also tells the story of how he first became a rapper. Now, I'm not sure how true necessarily these stories are that they spin on their verses, but it's a great beat. Both rappers sound great, and I like the story that they tell, so it's getting an up. That brings us to Family Matters, a song that's about family matters, and it's also a really good song. This is getting an up, too. Basically, this song's kind of about the guilt that YBN Cordae feels for his success when the rest of his family has still been struggling and suffering. And because YBN Cordae is following his dreams and achieving success because of it, his family doesn't really necessarily want to say anything about it, so they're just kind of suffering in silence. This is another song, too, that takes an opportunity to give us more of a glimpse of who YBN Cordae actually is. And that's to kind of talk about how his kind of messed up family and the mistakes that they've made have kind of informed his worldview and shaped who he is as a person. And I thought that was more interesting to listen to than anything else. You know it's not a great song though? We Gon' Make It featuring Meek Mill. Oh boy, is this song a down. It's not even that it's a badly written song or that it doesn't fit into the theme or the narrative of this record, because it does, and it is. But Meek Mill sounds so bad on the chorus to this song. So bad. He tries to sing the chorus, but he also tries to keep the yelling voice thing that Meek Mill does on his songs. And the resulting sound is one that sounds way too much like Young Thug for me to like this song even a little bit. There's a cat just staring at me through the window. And that brings us to the closing track of this album, titled Lost and Found. And this is a pretty solid closer to the album. I'm gonna give it an up. I really like the beat. This is probably my favorite beat on the whole album. I do love a good horn sample on a trap beat. I really do. I like YBN Cordae's flows, which sound suspiciously like J. Cole, but we won't talk about that. But basically, this is just a triumphant conclusion to the album, which is, oh, YBN Cordae has been found. The lost boy is no longer lost. He's where he's supposed to be. And I like that. It's a really nice way to end what's been a really great album. So that was The Lost Boy, and as you can see, I liked this album quite a bit. It's deep, it's complex, it has a very compelling narrative and story to tell. And I also like the overarching theme of family, and how even though his family is far from perfect, as it's established in some of these songs, he still cares for them and loves them and wants to use his position of wealth and fame to help them. This is a really solid debut album for YBN Cordae, because it does showcase a tremendous amount of skill for YBN Cordae, but it also, at the same time, displays a lot of room for growth. I really do think that YBN Cordae can get to an even higher point than this. And that's saying something, because this album, it's pretty great. I think the sky is the limit right now for YBN Cordae, and if he can stay on this trajectory and he can follow this album up with an even better sophomore album, I think YBN Cordae has the potential to be up there with Kendrick and J. Cole in the industry, if I'm being completely honest. This album showcases a lot of promise for YBN Cordae's future, and I, for one, cannot wait to see what he's gonna do next. So that's about all I have to say about this album. Thank you very much for watching, as always. If you want to like this video and subscribe to the channel, I'd be more than grateful. It all helps a lot. And as always, we'll see you in the next video, and have a wow, I'm messing up my own non-outro. And as always, have a blessed week, and we will see you in the next video. I'm still working on that outro.